Jimmy Barnes and shutting down our town. This is Triple M's Rush Hour with Billy and Joey. It's officially the silly season in the AFL, or as Bill would say,
trade someone.
And they have, because Jesse Hogan is going to the Giants, Joey.
Yeah, he is. That deal has been officially done today. It's only a 1 year deal, which is interesting.
What?
So just a 1 year deal.
He's on a 1 year
Yeah,
deal.
so the Giants are just going to have a little throw at the stumps, just see if he see how he goes there, and then they can look to extend it further.
That's not great. I wouldn't.
No, but the Giants are in a situation, Bill, where they don't want draft picks anymore. They don't want to get a kids in and half of them leave after 2 years
that's
anyway.
exactly what
they
happens,
want some
yeah.
ready-made talent, so they're going to take a risk with Jesse Hogan. Who knows how it'll pan out, but good luck to
Well,
them.
being in Sydney helped Jesse Hogan, do you think?
Yes, I do. My understanding was he didn't really like being back in Perth where he's from as much as he thought. The spotlight was a bit too much for him. We know a lot of guys go away to Sydney, Bill, where there's no attention, and maybe he can find his best football there. So we'll see how that one pans out. Young Zach Langdon, who was at the GWS Giants. Effectively, the Giants have got Jesse Hogan and lost Zach Langdon for the same pick. He's gone to the West Coast Eagles as a small forward. And Oleg Markov, who I actually rate, I think he's a good player.
Richmond, yep.
Speed, he uses the ball well from Richmond. Obviously, couldn't get a game behind Baker and Short and Hooley there. He's off to the Gold Coast Suns for a future third-round pick. So I like that for the Gold Coast Suns. I think they're just hand-picking players really nicely. Hugh Greenwood's been a great little addition.
Yeah.
Brandon Ellis last year. And
Again,
now
they're looking for ready-made, aren't they?
they are, because they've got their kids.
That's right. They've got
Anderson.
good kids.
So they've been the ones that have officially done today.
Righto.
And, of course, Brad Crouch was the other big news. So
you're happy with that, being a Saints
Absolutely.
fan?
And the reason why is that Adelaide chose not to match St Kilda's offer because he was a restricted free agent. Adelaide could have matched it. They chose not to, so they get a compensation pick, which will be in the early 20s. But St Kilda, more importantly, get Brad Crouch, and they get to keep their first-round pick, about pick 15. So it's a double win for the Saints. He'll slot straight into that midfield alongside Jack Steele and Zach Jones and a few of those guys, and St Kilda are on the up. It's great. Good get.
Oh, Adam Treloar, what is going on there? Because it's just messy.
It is getting messy. No one at Collingwood wants to speak about it. That's because they want to keep a bit up their sleeve. They don't want to come out and publicly say we need to move him on for salary cap reasons, because then other clubs, they've got no leverage, really. Other clubs can.
And he's loved, isn't he? He's much loved by players and by the club.
I think so, mate. He's 3 times in the All-Australian squad in the last 5 years. He's been top 4 in the BNF 3 times. He's a beauty, but Collingwood have got themselves in a sticky situation with their salary cap where they need to move on someone. And Treloar's on big money, but the reason why he's on big money over the next few years is because he took a hit at the end of 2019. They asked for him to take a bit of a pay hit, and we'll pay you back in a few years down the track, so they could fit in Wells.
That.
So he's done them a favour, so they could fit in Wells and Beams and a few other guys they got to the club. And now that he's owed his money, they're saying, "Oh well, geez, we want to move you on."
Or have they gone to him and said, "Mate, if you take a cut, we can keep you on"?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, or whether they also just are happy and think they can move on without him. And they think obviously he's got some currency. They would get a really good draft pick, you would think, in return. But now today, the other news, the reports are that looks like Jaden Stevenson is also on the trade table. They didn't shoot down that one at Collingwood today. So the young star who had obviously had a quiet year.
And they're rising star.
Yeah, he's on the trade table. We know there's been talk about Mason Cox and Tom Phillips as well. So Collingwood are throwing out some names out there and hoping that they can offload a couple of players because their salary cap is quite tight.
Talking about much loved players, Josh Dunkley is, I reckon, at the Dogs. They all love him and how hard he works. That'd be hard for him to leave, but the Bombers all over him.
Yeah, the Bombers are obviously trying to find some big inside mids. They want some really good players. They're going to obviously lose Sard and Danaher. We know that. And Fantasia. They've got plenty of money. But also there are reports coming out that Dunkley might not be as happy at the Bulldogs as it would seem. It's a bit of a combination of a little bit of frustration with some off-field issues at the club, but also not playing in the midfield. And, of course, money always is a little bit of a factor. So the Western Bulldogs are saying, no, we love Dunkley. We want him to stay.
Yep.
Essendon are going to have to come up with something pretty special if they are going to lure him out of the Western Bulldogs. So at the moment, it would have to be at least a pick 7. You'd even think maybe a bit more on top of that, a player back in return. It's a high number, but the Bulldogs want him. Yep. So that one looks like going down right to the last couple of days.
Well, speaking of that, what about Jeremy Cameron? That's got interesting.
Yeah, so GWS matched Geelong's offer, which means Geelong have to trade for Jeremy Cameron. We know they've got 3 first-round picks.
Yep.
I threw one up tonight, Bill, and I want to see if you would accept this as a cat. Would you be prepared to give up at least one of your first-round picks?
13 or 14, whatever it is, righto.
Would you throw in Sam Menegola into the mix to give to the Giants? And
No.
I'll tell you why. Because he's 29 next year. He's ready for a payday. He wants a 4-year deal. He's done it the hard way. He was at 2 clubs, rookie list, ACL injury. He's just had a little baby. He wants a big payday, and I think he deserves one because his last 2 years have been awesome. Geelong are going to get replacements in Isaac Smith and Sean Higgins anyway, so they're still going to be in the premiership window this year. They don't have to give up any of their young kids in Parfitt or Radigalia or anyone like that. And the Giants might want someone like Menegola because, as I said, the Giants want ready-made players. He'd be perfect on a wing, opposite side to Josh Kelly. Whitfield can go back to the halfback flank. Would you give up Menegola and a first-round draft pick?
I'd give up a first-round draft pick, and before I went with Sam Menegola, I'd throw up maybe Narkle.
Yep.
Do you want that? You're the Giants?
Yeah.
You're the Giants?
I'd want a better player than Narkle.
Charlie Constable?
I'd want a better player than if I'm.
They're
giving up Jeremy Cameron. Remember, he's a star.
Yeah.
I think they'd want an All-Australian caliber player back in return if it's not one of the young superstars like a Parfitt. So anyway, that's just something to consider. That'll go down to the wire as well. And just another report coming out of Geelong. There's potentially they might part ways with Jack Stephen a little bit early. He's got 1 year to go. That might be a combination of obviously some salary cap relief. They might probably need a spot on their list. And I haven't been able to speak to Jack, but where he's at with his football, whether it might be mutual and he might be ready to move on to the next phase because he did fall out of love a bit with footy a couple of years ago at St Kilda, and it might be time. So that's the other.
He's much loved.
Everyone loves Jack.
Everyone loves Jack.
He's a ripping fella. Been a terrific footballer, 4-time BNF winner at St Kilda. Last couple of years just hasn't quite panned out for him as he would have liked. So, plenty going on and still plenty more. So Adam Sard's going to be a big one that we're going to have to keep an eye on as well. Essendon want a lot for him. Carlton.
They get pick 8, surely.
They want that, So we'll see how we go.
Would you give up Oratio Fantasia for Ollie Wines?
No.
It's a rush hour with Billy and Joey. Bill's joke to wrap up the show next. Triple M.